When he pulled his fiancée's dying grandfather back from the brink of death, he received all kinds of resentment from her family. When he saw his fiancée holding hands with someone in front of him, he understood that only he had taken it seriously. Tang Ning, who studied under the inheritance of Taoist medicine and followed the essence of medical ethics, was unexpectedly embroiled in various disputes and billions of assets while adhering to his spiritual beliefs. You think too much, but your ambition is not here. If you want his life, then you can only say sorry. This is a story written by a young man about his wonderful life. Chapter 1. Sincerity for Deception. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the lobby of the Su family villa, Tang Ning sat on the sofa, looking a bit tired. He continued to treat Mr. Su for over 2 hours, consuming a lot of energy and physical strength. Fortunately, the old man was saved, but due to his old age, his physical condition has been poor for the past 6 months. Now he has suddenly recovered, relaxed his mind and body, and went to sleep. He will gradually recover and be fine in the future. Are you coming back this time for the old man's illness? Su Jinghua asked after a brief silence. Tang Ning looked at the middle-aged man across from him and said, "Yes, half a year ago when I left, I said that Grandpa Su couldn't buy the medicine he needed, so I had to go find it. However, I didn't expect something unexpected to happen, and time was a bit delayed. Fortunately, I finally saved the old man. I'm also curious about what kind of medicine needs to be searched for so long that our family's financial resources cannot buy it." Su Jinghua's wife beside her didn't even glance at Tang Ning, and her tone of voice was very disdainful. "Are you saying that my grandfather's illness has already been cured? Half a year ago, you and my sister got engaged and our marriage disappeared. You only told my sister that you were looking for medicine and couldn't buy any medicine. This made my sister a laughing stock in the circle. After getting engaged, her fiancé ran away. Have you heard that my sister—" "Alright, don't mention the past," Su Mingyang was interrupted by his mother before he could finish speaking. "Tang Ning, as you know, your marriage to Mingyue was strongly advocated by the old man. Mingyue also reluctantly agreed to the engagement because she felt sorry for her grandfather's illness. However, it does not mean that she will marry you. Even if she agrees, we, as parents, will not agree. Don't blame Auntie for not speaking well. Our door is not right, and you and Mingyue don't have a common language. Even if we force ourselves to be together, we won't be happy. This time you have been away for half a year, and we thought you wanted to open it up yourself. But no matter what you think, I hope you treat your engagement 6 months ago as a farce. No matter if you have really found a life-saving antidote for the old man in the past 6 months, Auntie will give you a sum of money as compensation," said the Su family's mother without any hesitation. To put it simply, the engagement was just to deal with the old man, only to be engaged. Tang Ning listened silently, looking at the family of 3 across from him. He remembered that more than half a year ago, the old man of the Su family asked someone to come and ask for help, and was very anxious. He also said that the ancestors of the Su family and the master were originally from the same lineage, hoping that the master could lend a helping hand in the sake of continuity. The master didn't say much, so he divined and asked himself to go on this trip, saying that he would encounter a chance and also to settle the cause and effect with the Su family. The initial engagement was also strongly advocated by Mr. Su, who showed a great liking for him. Tang Ning also discovered Su Mingyue's physical abnormalities. He thought his fate was Su Mingyue, and indeed, if they got married, it would be beneficial for both parties. Of course, it's still because Su Mingyue's appearance is so beautiful and her temperament is unique. Like a goddess of ice and snow, even a man cannot refuse, let alone Tang Ning, this little virgin. At that time, Su Mingyue did not show any signs of opposition, so Tang Ning agreed. Tang Ning also thought she agreed. Now, listening to Su's mother's words has always been his own self-perception. "I still want to hear what Su Mingyue means," Tang Ning said calmly. Now he understood that his fate was not Su Mingyue at all. Compared to his fate, Su Mingyue could only be considered an icing on the cake. Originally, he had only been in contact for a few days, and there was no love at all. The only regret was that he didn't even get a little hand in it. What else do you see, my sister? Tomorrow we're going abroad with Grandpa for medical treatment. Do you know how difficult it is to go abroad for medical treatment? It's okay if you don't have money, you can't go at all. You better go. Don't be embarrassed when you meet my sister. Our meaning is the same as mine. They made Tang Ning's thoughts too complicated, beating around the bush to raise money. The Su family has a considerable wealth, but Tang Ning really doesn't care about him. Tang Ning is also not short of money, and he doesn't have much entanglement with Su Mingyue. No matter how beautiful she looks, her heart is not with him. Tang Ning won't be reluctant to leave, but she still wants to see herself and leave clearly. According to the Su family, the engagement was just to make the old man happy. Only myself and the old man Su took it seriously. Now, when I say I don't take it seriously, it's a bit forced on others. First of all, the engagement was indeed arranged by Grandpa Su, and I just listened. I didn't force the Su family, nor did I stubbornly insist on not leaving. I just wanted to meet your sister. After all, the person I engaged to is your sister, not you. If your sister is indeed like you said, then we will have no further relationship from now on, and I will leave immediately. Moreover, I came to the Su family because you invited me, but now you want to drive me away. Is this the Su family's family tradition and hospitality? Su Mingyang's words made Tang Ning feel a little disgusted, as if he wanted to pester her sister. I told you, that's what my sister meant. Why don't you believe it? You said you're a person. Before Su Mingyang could finish speaking, the door to the villa opened. The first person to enter was a man, who was 1.8 meters tall and dressed in a well-cut dark blue suit, appearing elegant and dignified. The woman following behind her was about 1.7 meters tall, dressed in a light blue floral dress that accentuated her tall figure. Her skin was smooth and delicate, as clear as white jade. She used to face Tang Ning's cold and indifferent eyes, but now she exudes tenderness. Her slightly upturned lips are full of a different charm. This woman is Tang Ning's fiancée, Su Mingyue. The two of them entered the door with a smile and conversation. When they found someone in the hall, Su Mingyue shyly lowered her head and instinctively wanted to let go of her hand. However, the man couldn't make her wish. Her small hand was firmly held by the man, warm and full of strength, giving her inexplicable courage and sense of security. Only then did Su Mingyue look up at everyone. When she saw Tang Ning looking at her, Su Mingyue's face suddenly changed, with a feeling of being caught and raped. Tang Ning looked straight at her with a calm gaze, but Su Mingyue seemed to see shame and contempt in Tang Ning's gaze. This feeling was not good, and she felt that it was not like that. She wanted to speak up and felt that she didn't need to explain anything, which was contradictory. Uncle, Auntie, Mingyue and I have already agreed. Wait a moment, may I ask what your relationship is with Su Mingyue? Tang Ning interrupted the other person's conversation as he watched them still holding hands. Chen Weijie doesn't know the person in front of him. This man is probably not as old as himself, and his clothing and appearance are also very ordinary. No one from the Su family introduced him, but his appearance here must be related to the Su family. He should be a poor relative of the Su family or something. Hello, my name is Chen Weijie and I am Su Mingyue's boyfriend, he said, extending his hand to Tang Ning. He thought he was a gentleman, but he didn't take a step forward. As his own identity, the other party should take the initiative to shake hands with him. When Tang Ning asked, his eyes were fixed on Su Mingyue. Su Mingyue turned her head away and did not look at him. Tang Ning then looked at Su's father and mother, but no one looked at him. The things that need to be done have been done, and the people that need to be seen have also been seen. There is nothing more to ask now. As I promised, I will leave now. From now on, I have nothing to do with the Su family, he said as he stood up and walked out. When he reached the door, he turned to look at the man named Chen. I'm sorry for interrupting you earlier. You can continue after I leave. After speaking, he left without looking back. Chapter 2. Solving Cause and Effect. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After seeing the door closed, Su Mingyue reacted and shook off Chen Weijie's hand and chased after him. Chen Weijie was a bit confused by this series and was about to pursue him. Weijie. Come on, come here. Xiaoyang will pour water for you, Weijie. Let's chat first. You can continue talking when Mingyue comes back. Anyway, your aunt and I are very optimistic about you and Mingyue. Su Jinghua said and patted the position next to him. Su Mingyue chased outside the door and ran a few steps before seeing Tang Ning in front of her. Tang Ning walked very fast and couldn't help but feel uncomfortable, even though she had no emotions. The feeling of being deceived was very uncomfortable. What a cold and aloof temperament. What a fiancé AE. They are all deceiving themselves, being cold is just for themselves. As their fiancé AE, they are holding hands with other men. That person clearly wanted to announce something just now, in front of their fiancé AE. Do you still want to lose face? Wait a moment, I want to make it clear to you, Su Mingyue shouted to the man in front of her. There's nothing to say, I'll just leave. If it weren't for meeting you and confirming, I would have left long ago. Now that I've figured it out, there's no need for you to say anything more. Tang Ning stopped and didn't look back. After finishing speaking, he was ready to continue walking, not wanting to look at Su Mingyue again. He had already been disgusted by this family, he. Wait a moment, no matter what you think, I have to make it clear that it won't take you much time. Su Mingyue followed quickly behind her. You tell me. Try to hurry up as I'm in a hurry. It's too late to take a taxi here. Tang Ning stopped to see her. Chen Weijie was my first love when I was in school. We only cut off contact after he went abroad to study. My grandfather was very determined when he asked me to get engaged to you, and I had no choice. My grandfather's health was very poor, and I didn't want to argue with him. The engagement was only temporary, and I didn't plan to get married to you. I didn't make it clear to you when I got engaged. It was my fault, but before I could explain it to you clearly, you left and I couldn't reach you. At this point, Chen Weijie returned to China. After learning that his grandfather was seriously ill, he helped to contact many authoritative hospitals. I am very grateful to him, and we only confirmed our relationship today. I know we are sorry for this, but even without Chen Weijie, I would not have married you. Our experiences are different, we do not understand each other, we do not have a common language, and I cannot accept a marriage without emotions. Therefore, I can only say sorry to you. Although it will never be a problem again in the future, Su Mingyue does not want Tang Ning to misunderstand that she is a woman with a romantic nature. Okay, I see now, that's it. Goodbye, oh no, never again. Tang Ning waved his hand and walked away quickly. Su Mingyue watched as Tang Ning's figure gradually disappeared into the darkness. In fact, if Tang Ning was not her wedding partner, it would still be good to get along as friends. During those brief days together, she found that Tang Ning was not as frivolous as young people and was very stable. Being with Tang Ning would make you feel very comfortable, indescribable, and always felt that there was something about Tang Ning that attracted her. If we spend a long time together, she is really afraid that she will fall. It's too late to say anything now. It's good that Tang Ning doesn't treat the Su family as enemies. Tang Ning left without shouting or making a fuss, which also made Su Mingyue look up. The result now is exactly what she expected. Chen Weijie has returned to her side. If it weren't for Tang Ning's appearance, the relationship between the two has already been confirmed with her family. The only concern is that she has been doting on her grandfather since childhood. When Su Mingyue returned to the villa, Chen Weijie was chatting with his parents, looking somewhat absent-minded. Su Mingyue sat next to him, and Chen Weijie immediately became happy. He grabbed Su Mingyue's small hand and held it tightly in his palm, looking at him affectionately. Chen Weijie stood up and bowed deeply to his father and mother, saying excitedly, "Uncle and aunt, the person I missed the most when studying abroad was Mingyue. After graduation, I interned at a Fortune Global 100 company abroad to learn from their advanced management and operations system, so that I could drive and update my family's business. Otherwise, I would have been eager to return to my home country. This time, I made a decision. I want to marry Mingyue as my wife, and I will always love and spoil her no matter what happens. I hope uncle and aunt can help us." Su Mingyang is very excited. The Chen family, like his own family, is in the forefront in Hangzhou. The main reason is that the Chen family has a lot of cash flow and money, while the Su family has a lot of industries, which are matched by their families and strong alliances. His sister is also very fond of Chen Weijie. When he takes over the family's industry, with the support of the Chen family, he can make money even with his eyes closed. The Su family will grow even stronger in his hands. Compared to Tang Ning, he is not even worthy of lifting shoes for others. It is said that he is just a little Taoist, and I don't know if it is true or false. In this era, there are still Taoists. What can Taoists do? Is turning stone into gold. Su Jinghua and his wife are also 100% satisfied with Chen Weijie, with his family background, educational background, and eloquence. He is also a talented person, and it is rare that his daughter also falls in love with him. Su Jinghua was about to speak when the door to the bedroom next to him opened. Mr. Su leaned on a cane and walked out with a black face. "I disagree." Mr. Su slept very well this night and woke up feeling energetic. He hadn't slept so soundly in a long time. He heard someone talking in the bedroom and didn't pay much attention at first, but when he heard it, something went wrong. In a hurry, he walked out. The whole family looked at the old man in surprise, forgetting for a moment Chen Weijie's heartfelt confession just now. The old man who had been bedridden for almost a year actually walked out. Who could believe it? "Dad, can you get down now? Can you walk now?" "How could that be?" "Grandfather, you can walk now." "That's great." "Grandfather, is this blessed by Grandma?" Su Mingyue and her siblings ran over and supported the old man's arm, slowly walking to the sofa to help him sit down. "Damn it, your grandmother. When she was alive, she was always at odds with me. Can she still bless me? Does she have those two talents?" Su Jinghua and his wife exchanged a glance. His father spoke confidently and seemed to be really good. As he walked up to the old man, Su Jinghua excitedly squatted down and gently supported his legs. "Dad, it's great, you can stand up again." "God bless my Su family." Su Jinghua's eyes turned red with excitement. Apart from that, Su Jinghua was indeed a filial son and had admired his father since childhood. His father was the Dinghai god needle of the Su family. During these days when his father was seriously ill, many of his family's relatives and the elderly in the company were eager to move. Now that he was good, his father stood up again. "Young man, are you from the old Chen family?" "Who are you, Chen Luming?" Mr. Su didn't even glance at his family and asked kindly to Chen Weijie. "Grandpa Su, my name is Chen Weijie, and Chen Luming is my father." Hearing the old man of the Su family ask him, Chen Weijie thought that knowing his father was Chen Luming would make a difference to himself. "Chen family kid, do you think this is okay? My illness is just right. Let's discuss something with our family first. You can go home first. After we discuss it, can we give you an answer?" Mr. Su said politely to Chen Weijie. "Okay, I'll go back first. Grandpa Su, you happen to be in good health. I'll come see you tomorrow." After saying that, Chen Weijie looked at Su Mingyue. Su Mingyue was about to stand up and send someone off, but her hand was tightly held by her grandfather. "Mingyang, go and see off your brother from the Chen family, Mr. Su said to his grandson. Chen Weijie had no choice but to leave on his own, and Su Mingyang sent him out. Seeing that someone had already left the door, the old man's face changed and he looked at his son and granddaughter. Where is Tang Ning? Chapter 3. The Truth of the Event. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Where is Tang Ning? Mr. Su asked as he looked at his son and granddaughter. I just took a nap, what happened? The three of them didn't speak, and then Su Mingyang opened the door and walked in to check the condition of the hall, gently preparing to go upstairs. You also come and sit down, and tell me what you have done behind my back. The old man looked really angry this time. Dad, your body has suddenly improved, so there's no need to ask Tang Ning about anything. I came to see him because of your illness, but now that you're all well, let's just forget about Mingyue and Tang Ning's marriage. Mingyue also has someone she likes, as you saw with the Chen family's young man just now. He looks talented and matches our family's family background. The two children are also compatible. Choose a time for our two families to gather together and celebrate your recovery. Su's mother dared not speak to her husband and children, relying on herself as a daughter-in-law to say to the old man. Hey! I can stand up now. Do you really think anyone can bless me, or do you don't want to admit it? The old man was very disappointed. I've been sleeping a lot lately, don't you think I'll never get up? Su Jinghua, is this the way our Su family lives? Can you tell me where Tang Ning is and what's going on with this Chen kid? Mr. Su was very angry and disappointed, looking at his son with determination. Su Jinghua felt a bit ashamed when his father looked at him like this. He had done something unethical, but for the happiness of the Su family and daughter, he believed he had not done anything wrong and couldn't hide it, so he told his father everything in detail. After a moment of silence, Mr. Su looked at his granddaughter and said, Mingyue, as your father said, you don't agree with the engagement, do you? Yes, Grandpa. I didn't agree when we got engaged, but your health was not good at that time, so I agreed to your request. However, a marriage without emotions, I won't accept it. The situation was already like this, and Su Mingyue chose to be honest in order to strive for her own happiness. Do you have feelings for that Chen family kid? Yes, we had a romantic relationship when we were in school, but later he cut off contact while studying abroad. During this time, he contacted me again after returning to China and found out that you were seriously ill. He quickly helped us contact a hospital and already contacted a foreign hospital for you. Su Mingyue confessed. Hey, since you don't agree, why did you agree to get engaged in the first place? Just to deal with me, an old man. Do you also think Grandpa won't live long? How do you make people think of me, our Su family, and you? No, Grandpa. You valued Tang Ning so much back then, and he said he could cure you. I thought he could sincerely and wholeheartedly treat you before agreeing to get engaged. You have loved me so much since I was young, how can I bear to watch you suffer from your illness? Su Mingyue held Grandpa's arm, tears in her eyes, and I still pity him. Hey, don't cry, things have already happened. Now think of a way to remedy it. Mr. Su said as he patted his granddaughter's hand. No need, Grandpa. Your illness has already healed. I'll let Tang Ning do whatever he thinks. We can also give him some money to compensate him, and besides, he hasn't suffered any losses. Su Mingyue was very determined. Hey, when you were a child, I loved you the most. Do you think Grandpa is old? He's confused. That's why he made a fuss about you, right? Mr. Su looked at his granddaughter, whom he had loved since childhood. Su Mingyue remained silent, indicating that this was what she thought in her heart. I was originally planning to bring these things into the coffin, but now that things have come to this point, 3 generations of our Su family are here tonight. Let me tell you about the origins of our Su family and Tang Ning's lineage. Our Su family ancestors are actually from the Tang Ning lineage, studying under Zhang Tianshi from Longhu Mountain. Our lineage emphasizes worldly cultivation. Our family separated during the chaotic era of war. When my father passed on the position of head of the family to me, I only found out that it was good for people to live in that era. Our Su family also cut off the inheritance of the sect at that time. Su Lao said as he recalled. I grew up with a cold body and was most afraid of winter. I always thought it was due to my weak body. It wasn't until a few years after I got married to your grandmother that she couldn't conceive. We were very anxious. In that era, there were 3 instances of unfilial piety, and having no offspring was a big deal. I have visited famous doctors all over, and by chance, I met Tang Ning's master. After showing me, he said that I am not sick, but a mysterious constitution that often appears in women. The reason why I have been cold since childhood is because of this constitution, and if I were to have children, it would also be because of this constitution. At this point, I looked at Su Mingyue. Upon hearing this, Su Mingyue seemed to understand something. I spent a lot of money and begged the master of Tang Ning before he agreed to treat me. During the treatment, I also learned that the other party's sect was very similar to what my father said about the school. At that time, I also had selfish intentions and did not recognize each other. I was afraid that the family business that the Su family had finally managed to create would be controlled by the school. Later, I found out about my own petty views. After Tang Ning's master adjusted me for a period of time, he told me that if I had sex within a month, I could have 1 child. This is not a disease, but a congenital constitution. Only through continuous adjustment can I stabilize this constitution. He said that as I get older, if I practice the corresponding techniques at a young age, it will actually be very beneficial to me. Not long after, your grandmother became pregnant. I told my father about this happy event, and I also told my father about Master Tang Ning's help in regulating my body, as well as my doubts. My father said it should be okay, and he understood that I didn't recognize each other. No one wants the family's inheritance that has been laid down by several generations to be pointed at by the sudden emergence of sects, which is also the reason why I haven't told you. Since then, I have been in constant contact and even give gifts during holidays to express my gratitude. Later on, your father was born and he was still a boy. Our whole family was overjoyed, and later on, this matter gradually faded away. When Mingyue was born, I didn't remember it until I realized that she had also been weak and cold from a young age. Not only was her body afraid of the cold, but her temperament was also cold, which made me feel wrong. At that time, I was particularly worried about Mingyue, afraid that she would be the same as me. It wasn't until Mingyue grew up and her physique didn't change further that I gradually let go of my worries. It wasn't until Mingyue reached the age of getting married in recent years that I became worried again. Do you still remember the warm jade I gave you on your 5th birthday? It was given to me by Master Tang Ning, who told me to wear it year-round without leaving me. It is beneficial for Xuanin's constitution and can slow down the resistance to cold toxins. Su Mingyue forcefully covered her chest, where there was a piece of warm jade. When her grandfather gave it to her as a child, she liked it very much. It was warm, and her younger brother was also sad and angry because her grandfather didn't give it to him. It turned out that at that time, Grandpa gave him such a precious thing, tears rolling in his eyes. Until half a year ago, I suddenly felt my body freezing cold to the bone, and then my legs lost consciousness. I knew it was a sudden outbreak of cold toxins in my body, and I was afraid, not myself. I am so old, and I have lived in glory and glory. Even if I die now, I am not afraid. I am afraid that Mingyue's physique will be the same as mine. If a married woman cannot conceive, what will her mother-in-law think? I don't want my granddaughter to be like me in the future. Similarly, when the cold poison broke out, I could only lie in bed and wait for death. At that time, I couldn't walk anymore, so I asked someone to help me invite Tang Ning's master. I directly stated that I am a descendant of the Su family and they are from the same lineage of the school. I can't think too much about it. I want to confirm whether Mingyue's physique is the same as mine. If so, I want the school to save Mingyue. Although Mingyue is a bit older, it shouldn't be a problem to save her life. Then Tang Ning was sent over, and I really like this child. I believe that I have been wandering around the mall all my life, and my eyes are very accurate in judging people. This child has a sincere and compassionate heart, and I think if Tang Ning can marry Mingyue, he will be more confident. His wife and son will definitely do everything possible to treat him. Tang Ning is really good, and after coming, he will study my cold poison, saying that after the cold poison outbreak, it is not like the last time. It's so easy to treat. Please temporarily seal off the cold poison and say you need to go to a place to find a fire attribute spiritual medicine. This spiritual medicine is difficult to find and will take some time, but it will definitely come back within 6 months. I believe this child, because everything you see in his eyes is sincere. Then today Tang Ning came back and didn't have time to rest. He treated me for cold poison as soon as possible. After more than 2 hours of non-stop treatment, I saw Tang Ning's fatigue in my eyes. While I felt heartbroken, I was also very relieved because I didn't see the wrong person. But I didn't expect that when I woke up. Chapter 4. Difficult Choices. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I slept soundly this night, feeling warm and comfortable all over my body. The cold poison was detoxified, and with the help of Tang Ning's medicine spreading throughout my body, I haven't slept in a warm sleep from the inside out for so many years. When I woke up, I was still reminiscing about it when I heard your voices. I wanted to give you a surprise, but it was your words that brought my mood back to the bottom. Mr. Su's voice was full of regret. Grandpa, don't be angry, don't blame your parents. They are all for my own good. It's all my fault that things have developed like this. I can bear the consequences of my own choice. Besides being afraid of the cold, I don't have any other symptoms when I grow up like this. Maybe it's not the physique you mentioned. I believe that Chen Weijie truly likes me. If we really can't have a child, we can also adopt one. Anyway, I won't marry someone without feelings for this reason. Grandpa, I know you're worried about me, but you can rest assured. I can bear my own choice no matter what. Su Mingyue's words are very firm and certain, and I believe she has made a good decision. Hey, your idea is too naive. Even if the Chen family boy really wants you to not have a child, what should the Chen family do? I also know that Chen Luming is a very courageous businessman. Can he tolerate his son having no heir? The Chen family cannot just adopt a child without blood ties. What if Chen Luming asks his son to have a child with another woman outside and come back for you to raise? Can you accept it? Child, taking a vow requires time to prove, and time can change many things. Grandpa hopes you don't make decisions easily. He knew it too late at that time, and there was no room for choice. You can still choose when you are still young, so you must carefully consider it. If your final decision is still this one, Grandpa will support you instead of forcing you. After all, everything is for your happiness. Mr. Su spoke earnestly and earnestly. Grandpa. Woo woo woo. Su Mingyue threw herself into her grandfather's arms. Grandpa still loved her as much as she did when she was a child, and no matter what happened, she always thought about her in the end. Su Jingguo glanced at his wife, and their emotions were also difficult to calm. Compared to their daughter's life, everything else was not as important. Only then did he realize that their decisions and actions seemed to be wrong, and he didn't know there was such a big hidden truth behind it. Su Mingyang was also stunned when he heard it. Who could have imagined that his vision was nothing compared to his sister's life? He regretted what he had said to Tang Ning, thinking that he had said too much to send him away quickly. Now he thinks that his sister's health is fine. If her health is really like what Grandpa said, he will become an accomplice to all of this. Su Mingyang leaned on his knees and covered his face with both hands. Alright, don't be too pessimistic. It's not even the worst of the time yet. You are the backbone of our family, and your good health is our greatest blessing. It's worth celebrating. We did something wrong this time, and I will find a way to compensate Tang Ning. I won't make him feel like we're sacrificing our lives and being ungrateful. Let her think about Mingyue's matter carefully before making a decision. I also love my daughter like you, and her mother, and I will respect all her decisions. We all hope that she will live a happy life. It's not too early, Dad, and you are in good health. Let's all rest early. The rest of the matter will be decided by Mingyue when she thinks it over. Su Jinghua said to his father. After Su Mingyue helped her grandfather return to her room to rest, she arrived on the third floor. The Su family villa was very large, and Mr. Su liked to live with his family in a lively place. Grandpa had difficulty living on the first floor, and there were 2 nannies responsible for daily household chores and 3 meals a day. On the second floor, her parents and younger brother lived, and on the third floor, she was herself. In the first few days of engagement, Grandpa arranged for Tang Ning to also be on the third floor. At that time, she would lock the door every night and was very worried that Tang Ning would come over at night. Later on, I found out that I had thought too much and Tang Ning left after staying for a few days. Glancing at the bedroom door next door, I returned to my own room. The interior decoration did not match the personality she portrayed outside. The room was full of pink, with pink walls, pink curtains, pink large beds, and pink embroidered blankets. Who would have thought that Su Mingyue, who had always portrayed herself as a cool goddess outside the company, actually had a pink girlish heart? Su Mingyue came to the bathroom and was afraid of the cold since childhood. Her favorite thing was to take a hot bath. Whether she was happy or sad or thinking about something, she loved taking a bath. Turn on the faucet and put on hot water. Standing in front of the wash basin, slowly take off the blue floral dress. The tall and full curves are clearly visible, and the snow-white and delicate skin is glowing with fluorescence. The full and round skin remains firm even after being released from constraints. A pale yellow jade pendant is faintly visible in the mountains, and the slender waist highlights the plump buttocks. Take out the essential oil and pour it into the bathtub, then add a handful of pink rose petals. Lift your tight and slender legs and step into the bathtub. Your graceful body sinks into the water, and your small face under the mist appears even more charming and alluring. With a deep sigh, Su Mingyue's mood was very uneasy. Her grandfather's words made her feel a bit uneasy, and she understood many things, but she didn't want to think about it. She believed that Chen Weijia's love for her was genuine, but her grandfather's words were also true. Perhaps, just like her grandfather said, she could accept adopting a child, but could she accept Chen Weijia having a child with a woman outside? It is believed that many people will make the same choice between adoption and biological bloodline. Just like my own family, if my younger brother has the choice of adoption and biological care, my father and grandfather will definitely have their biological bloodline, and no one will pass on the family business to an outsider without blood ties. But because of this, she cannot accept marrying someone she doesn't know, likes, or has no emotional foundation. If she feels like she has sold her soul, what's the point of having children with someone she doesn't love, even if she's alive? For her, children are not just about passing on the family line, but also the crystallization of love. That's the continuation of life. She doesn't want her own children, living in an environment without love and emotions. Is there no other way? Is there really no way to solve one's own physical condition? Do you have to make such a difficult choice on your own? Do you want to seek Tang Ning's treatment? Yes, Tang Ning can cure both his grandfather and himself, but his family's behavior can be considered as deceiving others. As soon as Tang Ning saved his grandfather, she appeared in front of Chen Weijia and spoke so eloquently to him. She knew that her behavior at the time was very disrespectful to Tang Ning, and even to her fiancé A.E., Tang Ning didn't hate her family for going through hardships and killing donkeys, so it was good. She could easily resort to it. I don't have the face to ask for someone to treat me. My family entrusted me with the right to choose, choosing to believe and support me, but what should I do? I held on to the warm jade in my chest, hoping to get a little warmth. The inner turmoil and struggle made my thoughts confused, and I don't know when I fell asleep in a daze. Chapter 5. Blood Jade Sending Off People. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After Tang Ning came out of the Su family and walked on the road, she still felt a bit angry. Her fiancé AE, regardless of whether she had feelings or not, was intimate with another man in front of her, and it didn't feel good on anyone. Tang Ning was able to control her emotions and didn't act on the spot. She was already very restrained. Clear heart is like water, clear water is the heart. A gentle breeze never rises, the waves remain calm. Sitting alone in a secluded bamboo grove, long whistling and playing the Chen. Zen is silent and calm, and the poisonous dragon escapes into form. My heart is numb, heaven rewards diligence. Recite the clear heart technique twice silently, adjust your state, and don't get stuck in the bull's horn and become a heart demon. For a moment, I didn't know where to go now. Suddenly, I thought of an old Chinese medicine clinic called Mingda Clinic in Hangzhou, which belonged to the master's family. The master didn't have many apprentices, so I only had one senior brother and one senior sister. The senior brother followed the path of entering the World Bank for medical practice, while the senior sister liked to stay in a place with clear mountains and clear waters for cultivation. I took a taxi and reported the name of the medical clinic. Mingda Medical Clinic is very famous in Hangzhou and doesn't require navigation. The driver took a special look at Tang Ning, and it's rare to see a doctor at night. I didn't ask much. After driving for almost an hour during the evening rush hour for over 20 kilometers, I arrived at the destination. I got off the car and was dumbfounded, but it closed the door. I still want to give senior brother a surprise. I had no choice but to make a phone call and chat with my senior brother. He heard that Tang Ning had arrived and was already at the entrance of the clinic. He asked Tang Ning to wait at the door and immediately called someone to pick him up and take him home. It turned out that my senior brother was not staying at the clinic and was not at home today. He said there was a patient who had difficulty moving. He just went out to visit someone for consultation today and will be back tomorrow. Senior brother is not at home, so it may not be convenient to stay at someone else's house. Tang Ning said he can easily find a hotel to stay for one night, so there is no need to trouble someone to pick him up. Senior brother was unhappy when he heard that he had already arrived home and couldn't stay outside. He asked him to wait because his home was not far away. Tang Ning had no choice but to agree. He found the steps in front of the clinic, sat down and closed his eyes to regulate his breath. The passing vehicles and pedestrians were bustling, and no one noticed that there was still a person in the shadow here. After an unknown amount of time, Tang Ning suddenly had a feeling of being watched. He was startled when he opened his eyes. Less than a meter away, a beautiful girl was holding her hands in front of her chest, leaning forward and staring at him with her big eyes wide open. What are you doing? Yun Gong. What level have you reached now? Jin Dan or Yuaning? The girl wore a pair of ponytails and was very beautiful, mainly because she looked youthful and energetic. She didn't look big, and whether she had reached adulthood or not was uncertain. It seemed like she had read many novels. I'm waiting for someone. Tang Ning hasn't rested for a whole day. If he had been able to play with the little girl before, his mood wouldn't be high now. Wait, you wouldn't say your name is Tang Ning, would you? The little girl said and looked around. If Sun Bushwan asked you to come over, congratulations on your answer. Tang Ning looked carefully at the little girl and noticed the shadow of his senior brother in his eyebrows and eyes, guessing who the little girl was probably. You are Tang Ning. How can you prove it? You said you are, right? How old are you? The little girl picked up her hand, and a series of questions were clear and pleasant, like a mountain spring that was refreshing to the heart and lungs. She looked up and down at Tang Ning, her big eyes chattering around, appearing ancient and mysterious, not knowing what she was thinking. I think you should call me Uncle Tang. Come, call me to listen. Tang Ning was also emotional by the little girl. Oh ho, you're not very old and quite fond of taking advantage of others, or do you have any special hobbies? I'll tell you, I've practiced before, and you may not be able to beat me. She shook her little fist, realizing that this move was not only cute, but also had no killing power. I'll give my senior brother a call and ask. The person who picked me up may have gotten lost, and I'm already tired of waiting. Tang Ning smiled as the little girl took out her phone in a dignified manner. Oh, come on, it's really boring. If you can't talk about it, just go find your parents. Get up, you old man, I'll take you home. Knowing that Tang Ning was teasing her, she was defeated and stepped forward to pull up Tang Ning's arm. Hey, I can get up, don't pull me. Tang Ning was pulled forward by the little girl. A Volkswagen Golf parked on the roadside, and as soon as she got in front of it, the little girl got into the passenger seat, only to see Tang Ning open the car door and sit in the back seat. The little girl leaned over and looked at Tang Ning. Uncle, aren't you? You want me, a young and invincible beauty, to be your driver. You come and drive. It's not far, I'll show you the way. Tang Ning looked at the little girl with some embarrassment and even blinked. A little girl's personality is easily contagious. What do you mean, we have a deep connection, or do you think I have mind-reading skills? The little girl looked at Tang Ning in confusion. Don't tell me you can't drive. Well, I don't have a driver's license. Tang Ning nodded. Isn't that still impossible to drive? Let me take a look. In what era, such a big man still doesn't know how to drive, and he wants me, an invincible young girl, to be a driver? The little girl muttered as she got out of the car and switched to the driver's seat. Her face twitched as she realized that Uncle Tang, whom her father had asked to pick up, was of the same age. She wanted to tease Tang Ning, but none of the silly kids at school were being teased by her. Unexpectedly, Tang Ning threatened her with his father and didn't get any advantage of it for the first time. She even made herself a driver. Tang Ning found it interesting to see the little girl panting with anger, but she felt a bit guilty. After all, she was the daughter of her senior brother and had to call herself uncle. She flipped over in her backpack. The little girl watched Tang Ning's movements in the rearview mirror, as if she knew what he was looking for. She tried to pretend to be very angry, but her curved eyebrows and eyes exposed her inner thoughts. Tang Ning held a jade pendant in his hand, in the shape of a water droplet. The outer layer was white, wrapped in a layer of blood red inside. The texture was translucent, and the blood color inside was clearly visible. It turned out to be a very rare blood jade. Tang Ning looked at the jade pendant in his hand, which was also the result of this trip to search for medicine. This blood jade was very unusual and was discovered near the magma near the spiritual medicine. It had been infected by the earth fire for many years before it formed. Even holding it in his hand, he could feel the slight heat emanating from the jade pendant. The red rope he had handcrafted and tied was originally intended to be given to Su Mingyue, which was good for her physique, but he did not expect to go his separate ways and not send it out. The little girl occasionally looked in the rearview mirror and was very anxious as she looked at the jade pendant in Tang Ning's hand. As soon as Tang Ning took it out, the little girl noticed that the dim jade pendant in the car emitted a red fluorescence. With the little girl's knowledge, she also saw that the jade pendant was not ordinary. Seeing Tang Ning holding it in her hand without taking any further action, she thought Tang Ning was hesitating and afraid that Tang Ning would throw it into her bag again. She didn't expect this little uncle to be so valuable. She had known that the lady she had just shown had clicked on it. Tang Ning regained consciousness from his thoughts and leaned over to hand the jade pendant to the little girl. Here, it's our first time meeting. Uncle will give you a gift, I hope you like it, he said. The little girl looked at the jade pendant handed over, which was bright white with a fiery red color. It was tied with a simple red rope and looked even more adorable up close. However, she said, no, it's too expensive. My mom once said that girls can't accept such expensive gifts from others, and my dad would scold me if he knew it. Her eyes were like a small hook, and she glanced several times while driving. Tang Ning looked funny and interesting. Uncle gave it to you, it's not from anyone else. Your dad won't say anything about you. Take it quickly and drive carefully. Alright then. It's you who insisted on giving it to me. If my dad scolds me, you have to prove it for me. He said, his little hand not slow. The jade pendant had already been put into his shorts pocket, and his upturned mouth was very happy. Chapter 6. Warmth like home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Little girl, how old are you? Uncle doesn't even know your name. Senior brother has a daughter who he knows and hasn't even asked what her name is. Hee, don't call me little girl, you may not be a few years older than me. Oh. Then I might have given this jade pendant to the wrong person. I'm going to give it to my eldest niece. No mistake, no mistake. I am your youthful, beautiful, and kind niece. My name is Sun Roy, I am 20 years old, a Gemini, with a height of 1.7 meters and a weight of 55 kilograms. Uncle Tang, do you still need to report my measurements? No need, Auntie. No, Roy. Your name is so good. Roy is happy, lively, and contented. The person who named you hopes you have a happy life without any troubles, Tang Ning quickly praised, almost calling out the wrong generation. This girl must have been intentional. Ha, you don't need to call me Auntie, it's a big mistake. You call me that, how do I get along with my dad? Ha, Uncle Tang. How old are you? What does your name mean? Oh, Uncle, I'm 23 years old this year, and my name doesn't have much meaning. My father's surname is Tang, and my mother's surname is Ning. Naming is a convenient way. It's quite convenient. The two exchanged phone numbers again, and when they saw the phone Tang Ning took out, Sun Roy sighed again, saying that this phone had really been punished by following Tang Ning. How could it be so broken? Surprisingly, it can still be turned on to make a phone call. This vitality is also strong enough. The two of them, who were laughing and talking, arrived home with their car parked in front of a townhouse. Upon entering, a woman in her 50s, wearing an apron, greeted them. Hello sister-in-law, it's a lot of trouble to come and visit. Tang Ning quickly greeted politely. Ha, calling her Aunt Lu is not wrong, ha. Sun Roy smiled happily, not knowing why, maybe it was her first impression. She likes to watch Tang Ning embarrass. Damn girl, you dare to tease anyone, no big or small. I'll tell your dad no when he comes back. At this moment, a middle-aged beautiful woman came downstairs, well-maintained, with a rosy complexion, looking around 40 years old, plump and dressed in home clothes. At first glance, Tang Ning realized that he had mistaken the wrong person, which was a bit awkward. The nanny named Aunt Lu also felt a bit embarrassed. She nodded at Tang Ning and told the beautiful woman that the food would be ready soon, so she quickly walked into the kitchen. Tang Ning. I often hear your senior brother mention you, and your senior brother says, he even took you with him when you were a child. Come here, sit here, it's like going back to your own home, don't be shy. I asked Lu Jia to make some home-cooked dishes, and we'll have dinner right away. Mu Chunmei knew her husband had a young junior brother, who was very talented and intelligent since childhood. When she saw him today, he was truly extraordinary. The young man looked very lively, handsome, and sunny, a pair of deep eyes exude wisdom. Good sister-in-law, I arrived suddenly and didn't have a chance to prepare any gifts for you. Here is 100-year-old ginseng, which I discovered while going out this time. I will keep it for you to nourish your body. She took out a plastic bag from her backpack and put a large ginseng in it. The ginseng stem was thick and slightly darker than normal, with forks up and down, like a large letter shape. The roots were rolled up in the bag, and when opened, it was estimated to be about 1 meter long. Mu Chunmei did not underestimate this ginseng just because of its ordinary bag. Her family is a famous medical institution and she has also been exposed to precious medicinal herbs. However, she has never seen ginseng in this form before. 100 years should be a conservative estimate, and its value is immeasurable. No, it's too precious. If you come home, your senior brother and I will be happy enough. How could we accept such a precious gift from you? Your senior brother will talk to me when he comes back. The refusal words of these two women are similar, both talking about their senior brother. It seems that senior brother has a high status in the family. Just the little girl said no or no, she picked it up faster than anyone else, her curved eyebrows, eyes, and raised corners of her mouth were so happy that she couldn't control it. My sister-in-law actually refused to accept the gift because it was too valuable, and her expression couldn't be fake, as Tang Ning could tell. Sister-in-law, as you said, I would like to return to my own home here. My elder martial brother has treated me as his own brother since childhood, and I also regard you as my own sister-in-law. You can't measure your gift with money. For me, this is a token of my love for my sister-in-law. You must accept it, or I will not stay here, and I will go. Tang Ning said sincerely, and pretended to get up and go. Oh my, Mom, just accept it. Uncle Tang's kindness is so kind that if you don't accept him anymore, you'll leave. Where are you letting him stay this big night? Sun Rui quickly grabbed Tang Ning's arm and pushed him back onto the sofa. Mu Chunmei had no choice but to take this precious ginseng. Before she could come and examine it carefully, she was attracted by her daughter's display. Mom, take a look at this. Just as we met, Uncle Tang insisted on giving it to me. I said I didn't want it, but he insisted on giving it. I had no choice but to reluctantly accept it, Sun Rui said as a gift, taking out the blood jade from the small pocket of her denim shorts and handing it to her mother. Is this blood jade? It's so precious. How could you, a little girl, accept such a precious gift from someone else? Mu Chunmei held the blood jade in her hand, with its shiny texture, fiery red core, and faint temperature representing its extraordinary qualities. Mu Chunmei is not like her daughter who only knows how to look good. From what she sees, the value of this jade pendant is immeasurable, it is too precious and rare. Sister-in-law, as a family member, gifts cannot be measured by value. The first time I saw my eldest niece, she was very likable, and even the best jade pendant was meant for people to bring. For me, these external items are not as precious as our relationship. Sister-in-law, please don't say anything more. Please see if the food is ready, I am really a bit hungry. Tang Ning covered her stomach and said, I am really hungry. It has been a day and I haven't had a chance to eat a bite. That's it, hurry up and have dinner. Uncle Tang is not an outsider either. He snatched the jade pendant back and put it directly on his neck. It's true that people nurture jade, jade nurtures people, and beautiful jade matches beautiful women. A simple red rope is hung on the white and tender neck, and a corner of the blood jade is faintly visible under the low collar shirt, occasionally hidden in the snow-white valleys. Tang Ning's nose felt a little hot, so she quickly averted her gaze and silently recited, do not look unless you are polite, do not look unless you are polite. She didn't expect the little girl to be so knowledgeable. Listening to Tang Ning's sincerity, even her daughter put on the jade pendant, and Mu Chunmei had no choice but to accept it. As they arrived at the restaurant, the nanny simply cooked a few dishes, and the two women sat at the table to accompany them. Tang Ning was really hungry, and the speed of eating was noticeably faster than usual. The two women should have eaten before, symbolically holding 2 chopsticks and watching Tang Ning eat. Tang Ning was also not polite and ate 3 large bowls of rice. Seeing that he was eating well, Mu Chunmei was also very happy. Her husband's younger sister was really good. It was the first time we met, it gives people a very friendly feeling and is very sincere. After eating and drinking enough, my sister-in-law arranged a guest room on the first floor. Tang Ning took a shower in the bathroom and looked at the man in the mirror, with clearly defined facial features, a towering nose bridge, red lips and white teeth, and a glint of wisdom in his eyes. He was youthful yet masculine and handsome. This man is really handsome. It's her loss that Su Mingyue didn't get you, he said with a thumbs up after a moment of self-indulgence. I put on my underwear and jumped onto the bed. I called my senior brother first and told him that I had already moved in. Finally, he can have a good night's sleep. He was physically and mentally tired all day today, and it was only when he arrived at his senior brother's house that he finally felt relaxed. His sister-in-law's enthusiasm made him feel the warmth of home, Su family. I didn't expect everyone in the Su family to be like this. He decided that in the future, he would never give his heart without reservation when interacting with outsiders. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door, but the sound was not loud. Chapter 7. The misfortune caused by fortune-telling. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Who is it? Tang Ning asked. Uncle Xiao Tang, it's me, you haven't slept yet. Sun Ruoi's voice came from outside the door. I fell asleep. Hey. Please come in. Tang Ning just spoke when Sun Ruoi had already entered, the door closed. No young person sleeps so early. Tomorrow, I will take you to experience the nightlife that young people should have, said Sun Ruoi as she walked to the bed and sat down. You come out. You're not asleep, let me tell you something. It's okay, I'll just lie down like this. You can tell me what's going on. After that, hurry up and take a break. I'm really a bit tired. The lonely man and daughter of the late night, although they have different generations, didn't know how to avoid suspicion. She even yawned and said she was very tired. Okay. Then lie down. I used to hear from my dad that your master, also known as my grandfather, knows astronomy and geography, and can also do divination. My dad didn't learn this skill, he only knows how to see a doctor, but he said you got the master's true biography. Did he deceive me? Uncle Tang, do you know how to do it? Let me see. Tang Ning can see that when you're not needed, you're you. If you ask for help, you're uncle. I know a little bit, what do you want to calculate? When Sun Ruoi heard Tang Ning know how to calculate, she immediately leaned over and handed her small hand to her, her movements were very agile. Tang Ning looked at the small hand in front of him and slowly lifted his head. The first thing that caught his eye was the knee-length nightgown. Under the loose collar, the blood Jade sent out was faintly visible in the peaks. Quickly lift your head and look aside. Is this big niece so unguarded towards you? The key is that I can't bear it. Where are you looking? What I'm showing you is the palm of your hand, uncle. Seeing Tang Ning's expression, Sun Ruoi also noticed something was wrong and quickly placed her other hand on her chest. It's okay if I don't protect it. With this cover, a pair of peaches stood out even more. Tang Ning tried to control himself from looking, but Yu Guang still gave them an disobedient glance. If the heart is as clear as ice, the sky will collapse without fear. Still calm in all changes, with a serene and tranquil aura. Quickly recite the clear heart technique to distract your attention. I don't need to look at my hands, I just need to look at my face. What do you want to see? Getting promoted and getting rich? Or is it disaster and good luck? Do I want to be the class monitor for promotion? Uncle Tang, did you mean it on purpose? Sun Ruoi stared. So you're saying it. Do you think I can read minds? I want to. I want to calculate whether the marriage is good or not, Sun Ruoi said shyly as she lowered her head. Oh, what's so embarrassing about this? Come on, give me a message. Sun Ruoi's face was excellent, and Tang Ning thought to dismiss her after reading it. She quickly went to bed, really tired. Hold on for a moment. Is there another algorithm like this? Sun Ruoi was a bit embarrassed at first, but listened coldly. feeling a bit confused. She looked at Tang Ning with suspicion. Yeah. Most people just need to look at their faces. Of course, we need to read our own characters accurately. Hurry up. I'm really tired. Tang Ning explained. Sun Ruoyi didn't seem to tease Tang Ning's expression either, thinking that their algorithm was so unique. She pounced forward and lay on Tang Ning's chest. Tang Ning watched as the girl rushed towards him without any defense. The fragrance from the girl's body rushed towards her, and it was very pleasant to smell. Her body inside the blanket stiffened, and suddenly she reacted. Hey, what are you doing, big niece? Get up, get up. It's not like this, she said. How can she explain this if her mother sees it? The image has been ruined. Sun Ruoyi sat back and looked at Tang Ning in confusion. Didn't you say you wanted to hug her? So what happened? Tang Ning closed her eyes and patted her forehead. It's all my fault for not explaining it clearly. What I said was to announce your birth date. Sun Ruoyi's face instantly turned crimson, as if she had applied a faint layer of rouge. She bit her lips and glared at Tang Ning in embarrassment. If she didn't speak clearly, it would make her misunderstand. She really wanted to leave, and then thought about it. Why didn't she just hug her for nothing? Announced his birthday in a huff. Tang Ning closed her eyes, her breath filled her dantian, and her heavenly eyes opened. The young girl in front of her shyly lowered her head, emitting a faint glow. This was a profound vision of Fuse having regained her powers. She opened her eyes and looked at the girl's face. Her forehead was round and wide, her eyes were clearly black and white, her nose was slightly erect, her cheekbones were round, her lips were red and her teeth were white, and her chin was full. The Sun family has been practicing medicine for several generations, benefiting future generations. This is the face of a lifetime of wealth and fortune. Time falls at noon. The popularity is excellent, the older the younger. The main star has good fortune. A strong husband will bring career and financial luck to the husband, and the relationship between husband and wife is naturally excellent. Jiawu self-union, Jiahe is in the middle of the noon self-soil. This official is also combined by Jia and Hai, representing her husband's violation of the peach blossom. Tang Ning explained to Sun Ruoyi the facial features and 8-character answers she had seen. Can you marry someone as wealthy as this young lady, yet still cheat and fall for love? What kind of love can be as beautiful as me? I'm so angry that I'm worried about a man's infidelity even though I'm young and invincible. Ah! What do you think about him? Does he deserve the financial fortune I brought him? How did I look up to such a man? I'm so angry that I even fell for love, and I broke his 3 legs. Tang Ning tightly gripped her legs under the blanket. Conditioned reflex, what force did she fear? Just solving the 8 characters may not necessarily come true. Don't take it seriously. Even if your husband really cheats, you don't need to take action. Uncle will vent his anger on you and make him unable to take care of his life. If it's too late, he should go back to bed quickly. Tang Ning interrupted Su Ruoyi, hoping to quickly dismiss this aunt. Seeing her angry expression, if she finishes speaking, it may be a bit late. No, you can't say that with this condition. What qualifications does she have to cheat on? How could I have set my sights on such a person? With this pair of bright eyes, why did she see the wrong person? She must have been deceived by a traitor. Who would have deceived me? Please show me if there are any traitors or villains around me. It must be like this, otherwise I wouldn't have been deceived. Which of the stinky kids in school isn't being played around by me? Why are you hiding when you come out? Seeing Tang Ning covering her head with a blanket, Sun Ruoyi pulled the blanket off. As a result, one angrily pulled down, while the other looked desperate and pulled up. Tang Ning didn't dare to exert too much force, afraid of pulling Sun Ruoyi over again. What are you hiding from? I'm telling you something serious. I don't understand today. What else are you sleeping on? Can you sleep? Sun Rui shouted while pulling. What am I hiding from? I'm going to sleep now. What's going on here? What are you doing with my blanket, big girl? You can go back and study it yourself. I'm done with everything, what's bothering me? Tang Ning wanted to cry uncontrollably. What kind of fate would she have to take if she had nothing to do? During the day, I only found this girl to be ancient and mysterious. Who knew she was still a master who caught fire? The two are pulling and tugging. The door suddenly opened, and Mu Chunmei stood outside in purple pajamas, looking at the two people pulling and pulling. Damn girl, you don't sleep at night. What are you doing in Uncle Tang's room? You're not letting anyone rest anymore. Uncle Tang is lying down. What are you still pulling and pulling? Are you ashamed? Come out and go back upstairs to sleep. Mu Chunmei patted her chest, but fortunately it was okay. She was in a false alarm when she heard her daughter's loud noise upstairs. She thought something bad had happened, as they were all young people. She quickly ran downstairs and opened the door to see her daughter pulling down her junior brother's blanket, this shameless girl. Seeing her mother coming, Sun Rui's aura suddenly dissipated. She quickly let go of her hand, lowered her head, and walked towards the door, not daring to say a word. She was so arrogant just now, but now she is more timid. Sister-in-law, don't misunderstand me, It's okay, sister-in-law knows. It's all this dead girl. She's such a big person and doesn't have a proper appearance. I'm disturbing your rest. You should go to bed quickly. Mu Chunmei apologized. Sun Rui walked to the door and suddenly turned around and raised a small fist at Tang Ning. Mu Chunmei grabbed Sun Rui's ear and pulled her out, then turned around and closed the door. Dead girl, knowing no shame, ran towards the man's room at night. Uncle Tang is not an outsider. Oh, it hurts. Mom, dear mom, your ears are going to fall off. Please be gentle. If you don't listen to me anymore, go back to school and don't anger me at home. No, no. Listening to the sound outside the door getting farther and farther away, Tang Ning quickly jumped out of bed, took 2 steps to the door, and locked it back. When I returned to bed, I looked up at the ceiling and said, "Blessed and endless heavenly sovereign. What's this called?" Fortunately, my sister. In-law didn't misunderstand, otherwise I wouldn't have been kicked out. What kind of fate can I show someone if I have nothing to do? Today was really fulfilling. I secretly swear that if I tell Sun Rui's fortune again, I will be a dog. At the same time, I also hate Sun Rui's future husband in my heart. What kind of peach blossom do you say you have nothing to do? How dare you offend such a powerful daughter? In-law. What do you think? Don't even want 3 legs anymore. Chapter 8. Tang Ning's Opportunities. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. I had no dreams all night, and I didn't remember how I fell asleep last night. It was because Sun Rui, the girl, led me astray. After washing up and practicing martial arts for a week, I remembered the opportunity one encountered this time. I went to the place where I found medicine for Mr. Su and went to the outskirts with my master. At that time, Tang Ning was still young, and my master didn't take care of him for fear of danger, so I didn't go deep. However, my master described the place to him. There was a ground sun tree in the forbidden area inside. That is an uninhabited restricted area, and locals dare not enter. All electronic products and even the compass are malfunctioning. The time I came with my master when I was a child, it was all led by my master. This time, Tang Ning surrounded himself for a long time before truly breaking into the restricted area. After entering, he first explored in the dense forest and searched for a long time. However, he discovered several old medicinal herbs, and the century-old ginseng tree that was given as a gift was found there. According to the terrain described by the master, Tang Ning searched for a long time in the forbidden area before finding the valley. Along the way, he was careful and encountered many dangers, including various poisonous beasts. Those with spiritual abilities ran away from Tang Ning first, while others were roasted by Tang Ning. Of course, there were also some who Tang Ning probably couldn't handle, so he had to avoid and take a detour from afar. Finally, according to the master's description, we found the adhering tree, which grew in a very secluded place. Under a crack in the earth in a valley, ordinary people couldn't get down without tools. According to the teacher's instruction, Tang Ning only needs enough of these rare medicinal materials, without destroying the main body. The medicinal essence of adhering tree is on its golden leaves, which is easy to identify. Tang Ning picked 5 pieces and put them carefully in his backpack. He didn't hurry to walk after that. He wandered under the cracks. This dangerous place can't be seen many times in his life, to see if there would be anything else. Unexpectedly, a deep natural cave was unexpectedly discovered. This cave is very hidden, with the entrance on the vertical crack wall. Perhaps this is Tang Ning's chance. As Tang Ning slowly delved deeper into the cave, a natural karst cave suddenly appeared in front of him. The stalactites hung upside down, and the dripping water droplets formed a small stream. At the winding point of the stream, there was a protrusion, on which grew a small tree with fiery red branches. It was very similar to the legendary red fruit recorded in the classics. If it was really a red fruit, then this place may be an unknown yang vein, but the direction and size of the vein are unknown. The 2 fruits on the small tree were fiery red in color, crystal clear, and clearly ripe. Tang Ning was overjoyed when he was about to pick them when he was suddenly attacked. The opponent was very fast, and the view inside the cave was not good. He relied only on the surrounding rock walls and the faint fluorescence emitted by unknown stones on the top of the cave. After a sneak attack, Tang Ning only had a defensive role. If it weren't for the opponent's bright red eyes, Tang Ning wouldn't have been able to avoid it. However, Tang Ning also figured out that the opponent's physique should not be large. Later, Tang Ning discovered that the other party's surprise attack was actually not very destructive. In this way, Tang Ning protected his face and neck, and despite being injured, he picked a red fruit. In a hurry, the other person also bit off another one, and then stopped attacking Tang Ning. Tang Ning finally saw clearly that it was a white mink, with fiery red eyes, a body of white hair, and sharp claws. A person and a ferret looked at each other through a small tree, and Tang Ning was curious. Since this ferret arrived earlier than him, why didn't he just eat it directly? Can Tang Ning still get this opportunity? You should know that if it is really a vermilion fruit, according to the records of spiritual medicine classics, it must be eaten immediately. This type of spiritual fruit cannot be preserved by ordinary means, and the medicinal effect and spiritual energy dissipate quickly. Why did this little mink not eat it? During his contemplation, Tang Ning realized that this little mink was holding a jujube-sized red fruit in its mouth, with bulging cheeks and looking at it cute. Its red eyes stared at him without blinking, and it didn't run. You know, if it were to run, Tang Ning probably wouldn't be able to catch it. Tang Ning is very puzzled. What does this mean? Do you still want to grab this one from yourself? Tang Ning looked at Xiaodiao and handed the red fruit in his hand to his mouth, wanting to see if he wanted to grab this little thing. However, he noticed that Xiaodiao's expression seemed to be very hopeful, yes, very human-like. That was anticipation. Tang Ning tried to take Zhu Guo away from his mouth, but Xiaodiao's expression changed again. It seemed unhappy. What was the situation? Tang Ning once again handed Zhu Guo to his mouth, his eyes fixed on the ferret. This time, he pretended to eat it, chewing with his mouth and making an exaggerated swallowing gesture. Pretend to look at the mink like this after eating, staring at its mouth with a greedy expression, but no further action. Xiaodiao stared at Tang Ning and for a while, the little thing slowly began to chew in its mouth, eating happily. Finally, its pink little tongue extended out to lick it, still unsatisfied, and it finished eating. Tang Ning seems to understand why, such a spiritual little thing, actually wants to see if there is anything wrong after eating it and test himself for poison. So smart and spiritual, it turns out it has never dared to eat. Tang Ning also became playful, wanting to see how smart this little thing was. He reached out his palm and the red fruit lay quietly in it. Xiao Jiao saw the red fruit in Tang Ning's palm, his eyes full of doubt. He turned his head to look at the fruit tree and then turned to Tang Ning. Tang Ning pretended to put the red fruit into his mouth again, chewing it while flipping his hand. His palm was still the same red fruit. The ferret understood and was so angry that its fur exploded. It squeaked and scratched the ground with its little paws. Tang Ning looked at it with great joy, it was so interesting. Suddenly, the little mink's movements paused, turned around, and ran out. Then, Tang Ning heard a loud sound of something falling into the water. The sound in the quiet cave was very clear. Tang Ning looked over and saw that it was the little mink that fell into the water. Tang Ning just looked at it this way. This little thing is too smart, and Tang Ning laughed at it because he was afraid of its way. After looking for a while, he found that the little mink was still motionless. Tang Ning hooked the mink out with his toes, and the little thing was covered in wet hair, with its eyes tightly closed. Tang Ning crouched down and observed up close, realizing that it didn't seem like he was pretending to be dead. He reached out and grabbed it, realizing that the little thing was scorching hot. Tang Ning placed his hand on his pink belly and noticed that the little mink's body was filled with spiritual energy, which had knocked him unconscious. It seemed that Zhu Guo was truly there. Tang Ning didn't have any malicious intentions either. Taoism values cause and effect, and such a spiritual little thing wouldn't harm Tang Ning. Placing the ferret under that fruit tree wouldn't help much, it all depends on the ferret's own fate. Looking at the red fruit in his palm, Tang Ning didn't know what the consequences would be if he ate it. Judging from the appearance of the little mink, it was definitely not poisonous. Thinking about what the master said about his own luck, it should be this red fruit. Just as he was about to eat it, he turned around and looked at the little ferret behind him. He took off his shoelaces and tied the little ferret to a tree like a small dog. Without hesitation, he picked up Zhu Guo and ate it. It was really sweet. Soon, the majestic spiritual power began to spread, and Tang Ning immediately began to absorb it with all his might. Later, he relied solely on his subconscious energy. It's true that there is no time for cultivation, and the cold knows no age. After Zhu Guo's spiritual power was fully absorbed, Tang Ning didn't even know how long it had been. His cultivation level had actually increased by a great level, which could withstand 50 or 60 years of hard work. Tang Ning woke up from hunger and almost became the first person to starve to death while practicing martial arts. She quickly took out the dry food from her backpack and ate some with the water from the creek. She ate very little and didn't eat for a long time, afraid her stomach wouldn't be able to bear it. Suddenly remembered something and looked back, oh, the little mink was still tied up there. Feeling the little mink's belly, I felt that the spiritual energy inside the mink had also been absorbed almost completely. It was really a little thing of Zhong Ling Lu Xiu. Relying solely on her own body to absorb it was not much slower than herself, and she should be waking up soon. Suddenly, my playful heart grew stronger. I picked up one of the hind legs of the ferret and bent down to look at it. Hee, there are no eggs, it's a mother. Take off the shoelaces and tie them up. After thinking about it, take out a piece of dry food and a piece of ham sausage, and place them on the little mink's mouth. Being able to achieve this destiny together with it is also fate. I don't know how many days have passed, there is still waiting for help over there. I hope I didn't miss it, so I turned around and left quickly. Tang Ning didn't see it, and the little ferret behind him slowly opened its eyes. Its pink nose sniffed at the dry food and sausages, and looked at Tang Ning's back with a hint of disdain. It slowly closed its eyes and fell asleep. Chapter 9. Cold Poison Outbreak. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the dinner table, Sun Rui felt a bit embarrassed as she looked at Tang Ning. After returning to her room last night, she was forced by her mother to find out the reason, and then she had a meal of stir-fried meat with her palms. Now, sitting on the chair, her buttocks still hurt a bit. The ox horn tip has also been knocked out. I figured it out before going to bed last night and got angry. Why did I get into a fight with a fortune teller? Cough cough, Mu Chunmei looked at her daughter and cleared her throat. Uncle Tang, it was my fault last night. I was a bit overwhelmed last night and shouldn't argue with you. You have a lot, don't be like me. Tang Ning nodded and also felt relieved. After receiving her mother's education, this girl should have turned a corner. After all, she is an elder and needs to show magnanimity. Just as she was about to say something to her son, Rui continued, next time you tell my fortune, I won't get angry with you again. Don't worry. Tang Ning widened her eyes and looked at Sun Rui. This big bend, you didn't let me out. Is there another time? Don't worry, you. Impossible, absolutely impossible. What's the deal? This big girl doesn't know how to be shy. After dinner, hurry to school and don't wander in front of me. Watching you annoy me. Mu Chunmei glared at her daughter. Mom, you're going to lose your baby like this, Sun Rui said with a pitiful expression on her upper body. Mu Chunmei put down her chopsticks and pretended to roll up her sleeves. Mom, I eat, and after finishing, I'll leave, she said calmly as she picked up her rice bowl. After breakfast, Tang Ning and his sister Law said they wanted to go to the clinic and wait for their senior brother to come back. However, it was actually because his senior brother was not at home, especially last night when Sun Rui became a demon again, which made it feel inconvenient to stay there. Without much thought, Mu Chunmei took Tang Ning to the clinic and introduced several traditional Chinese medicine practitioners to Tang Ning. Regardless of age, Tang Ning was very polite and would first extend her hands to shake hands with others, showing respect for her seniors. She was very humble and kind. After the introduction, the attending doctor learned that Tang Ning was the younger brother of the curator and also a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. Several old traditional Chinese medicine practitioners in the sitting room put aside their contempt. After all, the curator's medical skills are well known throughout Hangzhou. Can the curator's younger brother be an ordinary person? Tang Ning expressed that he wanted to exchange medical skills and insights with Tang Ning when he had free time, and Tang Ning politely accepted it. After all, learning is endless, and those who study medicine are most afraid of being inferior to those who cherish medicine. Mu Chunmei took Tang Ning to his senior brother's office and saw him placing some case records and analysis on his desk. During this time, Mu Chunmei answered a phone call, greeted Tang Ning, and left first. Tang Ning was in the office, watching his senior brother's medical experience, various difficult and complicated diseases, and his eyes were full of flavors. Tang Ning stayed well at the clinic. Little did he know that the Su family was in chaos early in the morning. Su Mingyue is unconscious. As long as the Su family is at home, unless there are special circumstances, they always have breakfast together. However, in the past 6 months, Mr. Su has not had any meals together since he was bedridden. This morning, the Su family's mother specially asked his aunt to make breakfast more sumptuous. After all the food was served, Su Mingyue didn't come downstairs for a long time. Su's mother thought her daughter had been hit and couldn't sleep well last night. Arriving at her daughter's bedroom on the 3rd floor, she knocked on the door and nobody answered. Upon entering the room, she saw the bed quilt, which was neatly spread out, and thought her daughter had already woken up. When she saw the door to the bathroom closed, her daughter might be washing up. When she knocked on the door, no one paid attention. When she opened the door, she saw Su Mingyue lying naked in the bathtub, her eyes tightly closed, and her usually cold little face now devoid of any color. Su's mother was so scared that she rushed downstairs and called for someone. 2 nannies followed her upstairs and carried her back to bed. Su Mingyue was cold all over, and the nanny thought she had fainted from the cold. She put her in winter pajamas and covered her with 2 blankets. Sue's mother simply crawled into the bed and hugged her cold body, placing her hand on Su Mingyue's heart. She felt her daughter's weak heartbeat, tears streaming down her eyes, and called out her name, but there was no response. Su Jinghua stood in front of the bed, watching his daughter frown tightly. At this moment, the elevator door opened and Mr. Su walked over. After resting all night, the old man's energy had regained a lot. Arriving at the bed, the old man touched his granddaughter's forehead, which was icy cold. His eyebrows furrowed deeply, and the most worrying thing still happened. The bright moon found in the bathtub. Yeah. I called her up to eat this morning and found her lying cold all over in the bathtub. Dad, what should I do? How could it be like this? She was fine last night, sobbing. Su Mu looked at her daughter with her eyes tightly closed, her heart breaking. Mr. Su turned around and entered the bathroom, followed by Su Jinghua and Su Mingyang. Su Mingyue's clothes were still on the wash basin, and there was no water in the bathtub. Only some rose petals were stuck in the bathtub, indicating that it had dried up for quite some time. My sister loves to take hot baths the most, how could there be no water? Su Mingyang was anxious and lost his mind. Mingyue should have fallen asleep in the bathtub and accidentally bumped into the drain. Looking at the position of the flower petals, most of it was in the drain of the drain. Su Jinghua looked at the bathtub and forced himself to calm down, analyzing. It's not that simple, I hope it's not the worst outcome. Mr. Su returned to the bed and looked at his unconscious granddaughter. No matter what the reason is, we need to be rushed to the hospital now. We need to find a way to raise our temperature, otherwise the good person will also freeze. Hurry up and call Tang Ning, asking where he is now, and I don't know if he left Hangzhou last night. What are you watching me do? Which of you should call Tang Ning now? Mr. Su arranged in an orderly manner. I contacted the hospital, and Wei Jiega helped to contact many hospitals earlier. Su Mingyang quickly took out his phone and began to contact them after a brief panic. Mr. Su looked at his son. I don't have Tang Ning's contact information, Su Jinghua said, looking at his wife in bed. Look at what I'm doing, I don't have either. Take a look at Mingyue's phone and see if it's there. At this point, there was nothing else to consider. I found Su Mingyue's phone, which was both facial recognition and fingerprint recognition, and finally unlocked it. I searched through the address book for a moment. Nothing, the last few missed calls were still from Chen Weijie. It's okay, I'll send someone to contact Tang Ning's school again. I'll definitely be able to reach him. I'll go to the hospital immediately, contact the local traditional Chinese medicine experts first, and see if there's any temporary relief. Mingyang, have you contacted me? Hurry up and carry your sister downstairs. Su Jinghua made a quick decision. I'm in touch now. Let's go to Hangzhou Hospital first, and Wei Jia has already been contacted. Hey, first stabilize your body temperature. Mingyue's condition is even more severe than mine. You must find Tang Ning. His sect should have a cure. I have been seeing a lot of traditional Chinese and Western medicine in recent years. This is due to my innate constitution, and external medication can only alleviate it. This time I had a cold toxin attack. Tang Ning also forced the cold toxin out. The cold toxin in my body will gradually accumulate, but it has slowed down the rate of accumulation. At my age, I can only control it. Mingyue is still young, we must come up with a comprehensive solution. Dad, don't worry. If he can cure Mingyue, I can go and kowtow to Tang Ning to admit my mistake, he said, placing Su Mingyue on Su Mingyang's back. Su Mingyang carried his sister onto the back seat of the car, while Su's mother held her daughter tightly in her arms, covered in a thick blanket, and the air conditioning was turned on to its maximum. 2 cars rushed towards Hangzhou Hospital, one in front and one behind. Chapter 10. Father Chen's Worries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Weijie paced back and forth at the emergency entrance of the hospital, anxiously waiting. Just now Su Mingyang called and said that her sister is unconscious and cold all over like her grandfather. Chen Weijie hung up the phone and started contacting people, then immediately drove to Hangzhou Hospital in advance. His eyebrows furrowed as he recalled what Su Mingyang had just said. He was very familiar with Mr. Su's physical condition, as he had searched for many hospitals during this period. Every time he contacted one, he would tell people about his physical condition. He was severely cold and had lost consciousness in his legs, which was somewhat similar to ALS. How did Su Mingyue suddenly fall into a coma? Why does Su Mingyang have the same symptoms as Mr. Tang? What is the connection between this? The person who will come later is very important to me. I must do a detailed and comprehensive examination, and the cause of the patient's coma must also be identified. Chen Weijie stopped and said to the two doctors following behind him. Don't worry, Mr. Chen. The Dean has already told us that our task today is to be fully responsible for your affairs and listen to your instructions. An older doctor was very flattering. Here we go. Chen Weijie looked at the approaching car and ran over to greet it. The two doctors behind also pushed stretcher beds and followed behind. Su Mingyue was immediately sent to the prepared intensive care unit, and the whole family was anxiously waiting outside. Chen Weijie's parents also came over. Chen Luming and Su Jinghua had known each other before and shook hands to say hello. Chen Luming comforted him a few words, while Su's mother held Chen Weijie's mother and cried in fear. Chen Luming said hello to Mr. Su again and asked about his physical condition. Chen Weijie asked Su Mingyang about the details of Su Mingyue's fainting, while Chen Luming and his wife listened. The door to the intensive care unit suddenly opened, and the middle-aged doctor walked out. The patient's limb temperature dropped below 30 degrees Celsius, only the heart temperature was at 35 degrees Celsius, and they lost consciousness, entering a state similar to hibernation. The specific manifestations are no longer muscle spasms, slow pulse and breathing speed, significant decrease in surface blood circulation, and loss of consciousness. This is very unscientific. If a normal person is in this state and there are no signs of life, they are currently undergoing physical warming, injection of nutrient solution, and further examinations have not yet come out. Please, doctor, please make sure to rescue the person. My Su family will definitely have a great thank you. Su Jinghua became even more worried after hearing this. Does the patient have any medical history? Have there been any precedents of fainting? Do the patient have any special symptoms before becoming unconscious? I don't have any medical history. My daughter has had no other ailments besides being afraid of cold since childhood, let alone being unconscious. When I found out this morning, she was unconscious in her bedroom bathtub. The doctor begged you to save my daughter. If anything happens to my daughter, how can I survive? Don't worry. This is where our responsibility lies, and we will spare no effort. When you didn't come, Chen Xiao had already arranged in advance, and there were elite teams from our emergency department inside. Don't worry, wait for the news with peace of mind. I'm going in. The middle-aged doctor didn't forget to mention Chen Weijie at this moment. Hurry up and go. I'm here. If you have any news, please inform us as soon as possible. Chen Weijie sent the doctor to the intensive care unit. Thank you very much, Weijie. This time was too sudden. Our whole family was panicked when something happened next month. Thank you for making arrangements in advance. Su Jinghua expressed his gratitude to Chen Weijie. Thanks to Weijie, the hospital and doctors were arranged in advance. This child was still fine last night, so why did he suddenly look like this? I don't know what to do. Thanks to Weijie, Mingyue was lucky to meet you. Su's mother looked at Chen Weijie excitedly, feeling more and more satisfied. If it weren't for Mingyue's physique, what a great uncle he was. No matter how powerful that Tang Ning is, he can't be contacted now. Mr. Su looked at her calmly without saying a word. If he were grateful, he would be able to make her granddaughter better. He didn't have to worry so much. He had tried Western medicine methods over the years, and Western medicine didn't believe or approve of him and Mingyue's physique, but they couldn't cure it. Over the years, he had first-hand experience, and only by making them all try can he believe it. Everything we say now is in vain. Oh, thank you for anything. This is all he should do. Don't worry, auspicious people have their own destiny, and the child will get better. Chen's mother patted Su's hand. The two future in-laws were already getting along like a family by now. Chen Luming glanced at his wife without saying a word, then walked over to his son and whispered, "Go outside for a cigarette." Then he took out his cigarette and gestured to Su Jinghua. Su Jinghua shook his head and said he didn't need to. He wouldn't leave the entrance of the intensive care unit for any major matters now and couldn't miss any news. The Chen family father and son walked to the end of the corridor and arrived at the corner of the safety exit outside. Chen's father gestured for his son to smoke, and Chen Weijie took out a cigarette and helped his father light it. Taking a deep breath, Chen's father asked, "What's going on?" "It looks like Su Mingyue's illness is very similar to her grandfather's. Is this intergenerational inheritance in the family?" "I'm not sure. Mingyue's grandfather is showing symptoms like ALS. Mingyue's sudden fainting this time is different from her grandfather's symptoms. After the rescue is over, ask the doctor and see what the specific cause is," Chen Luming said, looking downstairs with his eyes. "Yes, I will. They will tell me in detail without asking." Chen Luming withdrew his gaze and turned to his son. "It wasn't long since you returned to China. If you hadn't helped Mr. Su contact the hospital, I wouldn't have known when you started dating Su Mingyue. Su Mingyue was engaged 6 months ago, do you know?" "I know, Mingyue told me that everything was arranged by Mr. Su. Mingyue was afraid that her grandfather's condition would worsen and agreed temporarily. Mingyue told me that the person who got engaged left without any contact, and she would not live with someone without a romantic foundation. Last night, I saw someone at the Su family and didn't understand it at the time. After returning home, I realized that it was probably that man. Seeing the attitude of the Su family, they all didn't like to see that person. That person also had a grudge against the Su family, and on the contrary, Mingyue's parents were very satisfied with me." Chen Luming looked at his excellent son and slowly said, "These are all one-sided words from Su Mingyue. I'm not saying she's lying, I really like this child too. Although the Su family hasn't been as prosperous as before in recent years, there is still a lot of family business. During this time, I also asked someone to inquire. Su Mingyue is a good child and doesn't have the bad habits of those wealthy ladies. After graduation, he helped his father manage the family business. Apart from the sudden engagement 6 months ago, I haven't heard of her dating anyone." Chen Luming took a puff of smoke and continued, "But why did Su Mingyue suddenly leave after being engaged 6 months ago? With Su Mingyue's appearance and family background, there shouldn't be many men who can refuse. So why did Su Mingyue suddenly leave when she was already engaged? What are the hidden secrets behind this? As you said, the Su family doesn't like that person very much. Is there any connection between this and Su Mingyue's fainting? Think about it." Chen Weijie frowned deeply and said, "Mingyue's feelings for me are true. I am very certain of this. She has been dating me since I was in school, and although she has a cold temper, it's all for outsiders. She was like that when she was in school, and I believe she won't deceive me. If, what I mean is that Su Mingyue's coma this time is really related to her body. The man who disappeared after getting engaged to her, regardless of their reasons, would you marry a woman with a hidden illness? Dad actually has a high opinion of Su Mingyue, but for your future life after marriage, I have to think more, but I will still respect your own choice." Chen Luming is also in a dilemma, but he has to consider for his son's future life. Chen Weijie silently smoked and looked at his father for a moment. "Dad, I know you're all for my good and considering me, but I really like Mingyue. I can't leave her just because she suddenly fainted, and I won't be able to pass this hurdle in my own heart, he said. You misunderstood me. Dad didn't ask you to make a choice right now. I asked you to think more and consider more. Everything is still unclear, and we need to wait until Su Mingyue wakes up and her test results come out. Anyway, remember, Dad is doing everything for your own good, and I will support your choice. Yes, Dad, I know. Su Mingyang slowly retreated on this side of the safe passage. When the father and son of the Chen family came out, he knew they had something to say privately. Su Mingyang pretended to go to the restroom while others were not paying attention and followed him. He wanted to hear the attitude of the father and son of the Chen family towards his sister. As a father, Chen Luming understood what Chen Weijie said, but he also felt very uncomfortable listening to it. After all, hearing someone behind his back and doubting his sister and family, he would not be happy about anyone. But Chen Weijie's performance is still good. He didn't misjudge him. First, he helped find a hospital for his grandfather's illness, and this time it was because of his sister. I don't know if he can still persist if his sister really does what Grandpa said.